Today is a day to celebrate. I am very excited. It's been almost a year since I returned to YouTube, which for those who don't know, I took a hiatus in the end of 2018. I went out and got a real job, as some would call it, and took a break. And I missed YouTube a lot while I was gone. So when I came back to YouTube, I had a lot of goals. I wanted to upload content more often. I wanted to improve the quality of my content. I wanted to do a lot of things over the course of the year, and I posted that video, theDeModcracy Returns, on January 2019, which is my birthday. And as I'm recording this, we're about a week away from that date's anniversary. So I thought this would be a great time to reflect, and to do that, I wanted to answer your guys' questions. I don't, unfortunately, at this size, which, thank you, by the way, for 250,000 subscribers. I'm super stoked about that. Thank you, guys. I don't get to talk to you guys as much as I want to. So we're gonna do this by answering your questions. I wanna hear what you guys have to say. I have not read them. I'm gonna go in completely blind. I think I have over like 300 questions. I'll try to answer them all in like quick fire, but I don't think it'll be able to happen. I'm very verbose. If you can't tell, I like to talk. So we'll see how this goes. Let's jump into it. So the very first question from Peyton Hem. Would you ever do a video ranking the top 10 weapons in the Souls games Blood-Borne? Yes, this is something that I've thought about doing before. I have thought about doing some kind of weapon ranking. Obviously, armor, everything is on the table. I can rank whatever the hell I want in Souls. That's the beauty of my channel. I can do whatever I want. I can rank whatever I want. The reason I've never done weapons, because it is a pretty integral part of the game, so it's probably a surprise that I've never done it, I guess, to some, is because obviously I've played the game within my own vacuum. That is to say, I've only done a handful of builds in every game, and it would take a large amount of work to really get a handle on what every single weapon can do, because I wouldn't want to just use it for 2 seconds and then be like, okay, I get it now. No, I'd want to do a whole playthrough with it. And as you surely know, the Souls games in particular have a shitload of weapons. There's so many. I know a lot of them share like movesets and everything, but it's a lot. If you watched my last Souls video, which was the top 10 best themes in the Souls series, I did mention that I wanted to take a break from Souls for a while, and I did mean that, because I've ranked a lot of stuff in Souls. And the things I primarily care about the most, bosses, are something that I've done a lot. I want to take a breather from it, because for me as a creator, it's refreshing to explore other games. For me as a person, I love a huge variety of games. I do really love the Souls games, but I love a lot of other stuff too. And I'm fortunate that I feel like my channel is in a position right now where I've started to talk about other games, and I'm grateful that people are interested in hearing me talk about more than just Souls. To answer your question, it's absolutely something that could happen in the future. Armor, miracles, all that other stuff. I don't use magic, man. I don't know about any of that shit. Armor doesn't matter. You're naked. It doesn't matter. As long as you can dodge, you don't need armor. But it's all a possibility. It's always a possibility. Trust me when I say I have exhausted the mental list in my head of the possible things I could rank in Souls. The next question comes from Nathan S. Along with boss rankings, I would like to see game rankings. For example, ranking all the Metal Gear, Far Cry, Assassin's Creed, COD, etc. franchises with a lot of games, and he plans to do something like that. I think making the top 100 and starting that series a couple months back and doing the top 30, I'm realizing there is interest in making top game lists, which is a really cool idea. The thing you have to consider from my side is, have I played all those games? And to make a singular video on just ranking an entire series, for example, Assassin's Creed, I'm pretty sure if you were to go on howlongtobeat.com, the time it would take to beat the entire Assassin's Creed series to be able to faithfully rank those games is a lot. Now, something I could do in compromise here would be community rankings. I could take series that I don't know as much about, and I could do research for them, because, for example, the top 100, I haven't played all those games that I've talked about so far, and there are plenty of other games on that list that I have never played. I've heard of them. Some of them I haven't even heard of. So there are possible ways to make that happen. It's just those are definitely more intensive from a production perspective. Do you feel like you're tied to Souls content because that's where you first struck gold? Because I notice you have periods where you try to distance yourself from it, but sometimes go back. And if so, does that frustrate you sometimes? I don't want to speak for every creator on the platform, but almost all creators get popular for something. There's some breakthrough you have, and that is your traffic into YouTube that opens a gateway for people to consume your content. And often what those people want to see as they flood into your channel is that they want to see you continue to make the thing that brought them there. And something a lot of creators struggle with is, how do you go beyond that? And that was something I struggled with for a long time. As I can say for myself that I love the Souls games, they are some of my favorite games, but obviously they're not something I want to talk about forever. There are so many other things to talk about. I very much am a variety gamer and I play a variety of things, and I want to be able to talk about those things. And honestly, for a long time, I didn't feel like I could. And the reason for that is being full-time means sometimes I have to sacrifice what I want to do what I know is going to get views. And that kind of sucks. There is a good aspect to it, which is I know that if I'm doing a video that's going to get a lot of views, it means it's a video that my fans are really going to enjoy, and that is something that I want to do. I want to please my fans. I want to entertain my fans. I want to make sure they like the content that I'm making. However, as a creator, I'm confident that I can make great content based on any subject. I really do believe that. There's always a compromise there. I have to compromise between what I want to make and what my fans want to see. It's always an evolving thing. To answer the question directly, the reason I go back to Souls content sometimes is twofold. One, yes, it is something my fans will want to see, and I know that. I do also know that there are a good portion of my fans that don't want to see me make Souls content anymore, or at least rehash similar ideas. They'd like to see me do something new, something fresh. But admittedly, there are times where I just want to go revisit a topic. I truly believe in the idea that opinions are fluid over time, and sometimes my opinion on the Souls bosses change. Another question that's less contemplative: which anime is your favorite and why, you dirty weeb? Well, if I do say so myself, it's not My Hero Academia. It's not. I do like My Hero Academia a lot, to the point where I've actually thought about making anime videos a little bit. Yeah, shit, you want to talk about videos I made and abandoned? Remember when I made reviews on movies? You probably don't, because I'm never doing that again. Maybe. I'm very passionate about anime. I like it a lot. I'd love to talk about it. And one thing I would like to talk about with My Hero Academia is, for all the problems that show, manga, everything has, I do like the character of All Might, and I would like to talk about his character more. But to answer your question, what is my favorite anime? I always struggle between three, which are Samurai Champloo, Cowboy Bebop, and Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. What I'm trying to say is I'm a very basic bitch. I'm not really reinventing the wheel when it comes to anime, okay? Next question comes from Matt Mowry. Why did you sell your soul to Raid Shadow Legends? This new year meant taking on sponsorships, and I am definitely new to it. In the past, I'd done a few things here and there. This year, I wanted to experiment with it, and I wanted to see how it would go. When I first take a look at something, I kind of vet the quality of it, right? I was like, okay, what are they asking me to advertise? Well, what is this? If it's not something I know about, I try to do research into online opinion, everything like that, and see like, okay, like what is the general reception for this? Is this something that my fans would be happy to see? Because something you have to understand from my end is I'm speaking to thousands of people who are individuals who have very different tastes in things. Personally, I'm not someone I would consider a mobile gamer. I have so many games all the time that I want to play, that I want to talk about on YouTube, all of that. It's pretty rare that I get any time outside of YouTube and Twitch to actually play games for myself. If I'm in my free time, typically I'm stepping away from video games because I need to do something different. I need to have a more complete life that has more than just video games in it. But I do know that mobile gaming is popular. Even if I may not understand necessarily why, I know that it is. So when someone comes to me and tells me that I can promote this app, if it's well received, then I'm like, okay, even if I'm not necessarily the most interested in it, I'll promote it. Maybe I'll be able to bring some free rewards to people who are interested in that kind of thing. And then the people who aren't interested will just understand, okay, I get it. Like, dude's gotta eat, he's doing a sponsorship, blah, 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 however you wanna phrase it. But there's a problem that lies in that, right? My persona on YouTube is made through my voice. And I don't just mean that I don't show my face in my videos and you hear my voice and that's how you recognize me. I mean to say that my personality is shaped for you, the viewer, by what I say. by my words. If you've watched my videos for any length of time, I have to imagine you have a concept of who I am as a person, what my personality traits are, what things I tend to like, what things I tend to dislike. And there are probably a lot of you too that feel like you've been able to get to know me and you feel like you can relate to me in some kind of way. And that's a powerful thing. There are good and bad ways to use this. Like, I have the ability to have any persona online I want to because I control that. I control what goes into this video. I control what goes into any of my videos. And you can use that for good. You can use it for entertainment purposes. You can have a fake persona that is meant for entertainment value. But what I've always kind of prided myself on is being genuinely myself. When I came to record this video, I didn't just snap on and become someone else. I mean, obviously I'd be lying if I said when I'm on YouTube, I'm not a little bit more upbeat than I am in my resting state of life, but I'm still the same person. I feel like I have a very communal feeling in my videos. I feel like it comes across well that what I want to deliver is a sense of you chatting about video games with a buddy. It's really what I want to do, because that's what I feel like when I make my videos. I feel like I'm talking to one collective friend, if that makes sense, about video games. All of this is to say, I can't just have an attitude of, if you don't necessarily like something I decide to sponsor, weather the storm, understand that I'm making money from it, and just be okay with that, because that's extremely selfish. And something I have to understand is that sponsorships aren't exempt from becoming part of that collective voice. Anything I decide to put on YouTube becomes part of the personality that you hold for me. And I don't think that doing something that people don't necessarily agree with is enough to undo a lot of goodwill. But if I think people trust and respect the words that I have to say, I have to respect that that's a privilege, it's not a right. And I have to respect that it's something that can go away. At the end of the day, I am trying my best to strike a balance of everything. Balance is the number one thing that I've always struggled with on YouTube. I'm someone who takes constructive criticism and even harsh criticism very seriously, and that's because I value what my fans think of me. I value what my fans think of my content, and I don't mean that in a way of validation. I mean to say, I want my videos to genuinely be entertaining, enjoyable, and something that provides some kind of value to you as a viewer. And if I feel like I'm ever steering away from that, then that's something that I need to evaluate and try to understand what I can do better in the future. What I can say is that sponsorships are something that I'm going to take back to the drawing board and think about a lot more for the next year. It'll be something I definitely take a lot of time to think about. What I want to focus on is getting back to my roots and what's more important, which is making good content. At the end of the day, if I focus all of my effort toward making really good content, bust my ass, and work really hard, then hopefully that will be enough. Next question, is mayonnaise an instrument? I mean, if I was interested in making a mess, I would cut to a video of me slapping some mayonnaise and show you how I can make it an instrument, because I did percussion when I was a kid, so you can make anything an instrument if you want to, but no, I don't think it's predominantly an instrument. I think it's a condiment, my friend. Next question from Lastavica. Hey DMod, love your channel. I found out about, I started playing Dark Souls, watching the Dark Souls content. I have to say, I love how you change your videos. Enough of the fanboying. Are you ever gonna finish the top 100 games of all time ranking? This is a good time to talk about this, because I think my biggest flaw as a YouTuber is definitely that I overpromise and underdeliver. It's something that I've struggled with my whole YouTube career, and that goes into one of the earlier questions it asked about, you know, like me going back to Souls content and feeling like I move away from things. Really, the honest truth is, I am someone who comes up with a lot of ideas, and I get really excited about them, and then when I follow through, sometimes I already have a new idea that I think is really exciting, and then I divert my interest, and I get scatterbrained, and then I have a problem where I told my audience, I'm gonna make these 5 things, but now I only wanna make the one thing right now because I'm really interested in that one, so we're gonna push all those to the side, and then eventually it's been so long that it doesn't really make sense to do it anymore. My biggest thing going into 2020 is a motto of over-deliver, under-promise. So I'm not gonna promise I'm gonna continue anything. I'm gonna start with a clean slate in 2020. It's terrible because I already want to answer your question and I want to say something about the top 100, but if I say that I'm going to do it and then I decide in a month, oh shit, there's all these games coming out and I feel like it's more pertinent to cover them because I'm super excited about all these new games, then I'm like, well, crap. Because unfortunately, at the end of the day, I have a finite resource in time. I can only play so many games, I can only make so many videos, and I have to strike a balance between what I want to make and what will be the best for me to make, I guess is the best way to say it. I always want to put out things that my fans are gonna find entertaining and that I enjoy making, and then obviously I want viewership. As a YouTuber, yes, I want viewership. I shouldn't have to feel guilty saying that. Views are good, yes. As a creator, when I want to entertain people and provide some sort of escape for them from their daily lives and let them just relax and watch some videos that are interesting or funny or whatever, that's something that I want to, yeah, you know, we're stop rambling. Under promise, over deliver. Under promise, over deliver. I'm gonna change my name on YouTube to that. I am the under-deliver, god damn it. I am the over-deliverer. All right, question from Gengar. More to do with the last video. I want to know why two particular Undertale bosses that I can't, for the sake of spoilers, names didn't make the list. I've asked before, but think comment was lost in the sea of them. Understand if you haven't played Undertale, but if you have, they should have been a shoo-in. So I played Undertale, I did, but I played Undertale a couple years ago, I think now, on Twitch, and I have to admit that Twitch, while I obviously love Twitch, the reason I do speedruns, challenge runs, and a lot of that stuff of games I've already played is I think there's very few games that are best to experience for the first time on Twitch. The reason I say that is because when I'm playing live on Twitch, me personally, I think there's a couple different types of streamers. There's streamers that treat their chat as a singular chat and are entertainers and just focus on being an entertaining person. Me, I would consider myself an interactive streamer. I'm someone who always wants to be talking to my chat, always wants to be looking at my chat, because that's what I'm there to do. I started Twitch because I saw it as a way to, outside of having my focus content that I don't want to bring too much of my own personal things into, have a way to interact with fans. When I do that and I'm paying more attention to my chat and talking with them and having conversations with them, I'm not really absorbing the information of a new game that I don't know that much about, and often we're being memey and stupid. So when I played Undertale, I think I did what's called like the genocide run, which is killing most people. And that doesn't even really matter. Well, okay, for Undertale fans it matters, but honestly, I just don't even remember the game that well. The only thing that sticks out to me in my memory from the game is I remember thinking the combat was cool and interesting, but not necessarily my cup of tea, because I wanted something a little bit more action-oriented, even though I appreciate that that's not the point of the game. The point of the game is to have the combat that it does, or the lack thereof. I remember liking their music a lot, but I don't really remember the bosses themselves otherwise. And when I'm looking at a whole decade in review, and it's my list, it has to be what sticks out to me, because there's so many bosses to pull from the decade. I know Undertale has a huge fan base, and I know that it was a huge thing on YouTube this decade, but Undertale just isn't something that resonated with me in the same way, and I think that is partially because I played it on Twitch. So maybe if I played it again, maybe I'd feel differently. Maybe an Undertale boss ranking is a good idea in the future, but I'm not gonna promise that, because we're next question is from Thomas. I think you're doing a great job in some of your best videos released in the past year. My only real gripe is you not finishing off series rankings before moving on to new ones. I understand franchise fatigue and putting out content, but Zelda, Batman, Kingdom Hearts, Metal Gear. Again, motto, overpromise, underpromise, overdeliver. There we go. You're not wrong at all, trust me. I'm hyper aware of it, but the problem is there's not a lot of value in being aware and saying that I'm aware if I don't fix the problem. So my thing for 2020, other than the motto, is I really just want to start with a clean slate. I'm gonna make the videos I make in 2020, and I think one of my biggest mistakes is I should not be doing these big series and starting them if I don't have the time. And I probably shouldn't hype them up as series anyway. I should probably just make them, see how I like them, see how I feel about it, and not promise, hey, I started ranking Metal Gear Solid, I'm now going to rank every Metal Gear game in existence. Instead, just say, you know what, I feel like ranking Metal Gear Solid today. Maybe I'll do other games in the series if I feel like it. We'll see. We'll see how you guys feel about it, we'll see how I feel about it. We're workshopping here. Yes. Overpromise, Here's a question. If you had to fight a single enemy or boss for the rest of time, who would you fight and why? Also, is there a chance we'd get to see a Soulsborne Ekiro enemy's ranking? There's a couple real asshats in the series, looking at you, skyscraper skull shooty bastards from Fair and Keep. Yeah, I don't like those guys too much either, and dogs. We all love dogs in real life, but FromSoft dogs are truly the plague. And there are winter lanterns and, you know, a bunch of other enemies. But yeah, I could rank enemies sometime, I guess. But the thing is, for me, like, if a new game comes out, ranking bosses of new game that I really love versus going back to Souls again and talking about enemies is not the most exciting proposition. That's probably why I've never done it. To answer the first question about a single boss that I would fight, that's a very interesting question because it's a very different perspective. Like, thinking about a boss that I really like, who's not one of my favorites of all time, but I like a lot, is Orphan of Kos. Would I want to fight Orphan of Kos for the rest of the time? Hell no! My adrenaline would be too high. I'd be sweating. That's too stressful. I don't want to live in stress for the rest of my life. Honestly, you know what? Okay, I'm just gonna go with my gut, and my gut is Lady Maria from Blood-Borne, and I'll tell you why. Because the lamp is right there, so there's no run back. Like, you just enter there, you fight. The fight is actually pretty quick, and it feels just... I talked about it a ton. Lady Maria, the fight's hot, I like it. What is my favorite story arc in Berserk? Since we're talking Berserk, let me do show and tell. And like the little hipster I am, I got this for Christmas this year. My fiance is also a weeb and also it loves me, so got the vinyl for the Berserk soundtrack, which is amazing, by the way. Love this. But what is my favorite arc in Berserk? So I actually did not read Berserk for a really long time. I obviously heard that Berserk was, or that Dark Souls was inspired by Berserk, and I finally got around to reading it, and I could not stop. I think I read like 180 chapters in like 5 days or something like that. And if there's ever a gap in videos, I'm not gonna lie, sometimes it's because something like that happens. I'm like, holy shit, I can't put this down. Is there really any other answer than the Golden Age arc? Like, I don't know if I can have some hot take here and be like, yeah, man, I am a Berserk vet, and the Golden Age arc, it's all right, but let's get real here. The one where, no, I can't, I don't even remember any other ones. It was like 2 years ago when I read it, and the Golden Age is the only thing I remember because the Golden Age is brilliant. But I do want to read more of Berserk. The reason I stopped is because, honestly, I was getting a little depressed. That manga is, ooh. You were in for an emotional ride, but if you haven't read it, you should. It's very, very good. When is the boss breakdown on Beta Chaos? Adding another series to the list here that I have put on hiatus. I feel like Beta Chaos, if any boss on my channel, I feel like Gale, Bed of Chaos, Ludwig, maybe Artorias. I feel like those are all the bosses I've talked about the most. When I made the Decade video, it was hard to even want to talk about Gale. Not that I don't enjoy talking about him, but it's like, when I talk about him, it's like, what new do I say, right? Like, my opinion hasn't changed because obviously I'm making him a best boss of the decade. I still love the guy. What do I say that's new? Obviously, I can't expect everyone to have watched all of my videos or necessarily remember what I said because it's not like you just watched them yesterday. But yeah, when is the boss breakdown on Beta Chaos? My answer is never, because it's not a boss. It's a platforming experience from hell, and I don't want to experience it again, and I'm sure you don't either. What popular games do you dislike? Are there any videos you've regretted making? Okay, hold on. We got a bunch of questions here. I got you. What popular games do you dislike? Well, if you watched my, what was it, my E3 video last year, I think it was, I made a harsh, like, jab at Fortnite. I mean, obviously it's popular to hate on things that are popular, even if that's an unpopular opinion and you want to feel cool for hating on something that's popular. That was a very nonsensical sentence. The point is, I don't really like Fortnite, and the reason I don't like Fortnite is because I suck at Fortnite, all right? Look, if I was good at that game, I might actually have fun with it, but I'm awful at that game. When I played PUBG, I was very terrible at PUBG as well, but I could, like, every once in a while I could get a good kill and feel good about myself. But the building aspect of Fortnite, I'm garbage at, and it's just no. But let's think about real popular games, right? So I feel like there's no popular games I can think of that I like hate though, because I could think of some examples of games that I don't necessarily like as much as everybody else does. That's the easier one to answer. Like Grand Theft Auto, for example. I don't necessarily like the way Rockstar does their open worlds and sandboxes, even though they created it back in the day. I kind of think their worlds, while somehow feeling real, also feel lifeless. It would be something that's way bigger than the scope of this video to talk about, but it's not necessarily my cup of tea. But they're still great games. I just don't think they're the best of the decade or generation like a lot of critics do. Another game that I could think of that's popular at games is Breath of the Wild and Mario Odyssey. I love Breath of the Wild. It's an incredible game. Mario Odyssey, to a lesser extent, in my opinion. I think it's a good game. It's fine. But they both marked, to me, which I'll talk about in an upcoming video, a move for Nintendo away from making sure every single world is full, every single bit of the world they create is full of quality. Instead, they focused on creating an insane amount of things to do, and it makes a lot of it feel uninspired. And I think Breath of the Wild, it worked for it to its advantage to a large extent, because that game's all about exploring and stumbling upon these things that may be really novel and not all that exciting. The joy comes from the discovery. But for Mario, I always liked Sunshine, I always liked Galaxy, I liked 64, I liked these controlled levels that were structured specifically around a curated experience to get this shine sprite, this heart. And Mario Odyssey with its moons, 50% or more of the moons in that game are like, ground pound this dirt and get a moon. Like, bang Princess Peach, get a moon. Like, good for you, Mario. The thing is, I don't hate Mario Odyssey. It's a good game, but I have a lot of problems with that game, and I think it gets unfair praise. So if I were to go on this, I could like dig into popular games and be like, this is what's wrong with them, but I feel bad doing that. Like, I don't mind tearing things down a bit, and as long as I have a justified reason to do it and I'm respectful of other people's opinions. But I haven't made that video because I don't know how well it's gonna do to make the video of Mario Odyssey is quantity over quality, people, and this is why. I think I might get crucified for that, but then again, being polarizing isn't always the worst thing in the world, now is it? Question from Joker. What do you value the most in a game? Presentation, gameplay, story, etc. This is a question that evolves over time for me. Obviously, everything makes a collective package, but for me, I think when a game comes out in the present, the thing I value the most is the gameplay. Because at the end of the day, if the game is not fun, I'm not going to be able to have fun playing it. I would consider story to be a close second, and honestly one that could probably be my favorite. I really like storytelling in games. I think games have a unique way of being able to tell stories because the player's able to get involved in the game, and I think that is something that has been explored a lot more this past decade, creative ways to tell stories through this medium, and it is something I am so excited has been just having an absolute renaissance, and I'm excited to see more of it. When it comes to games that I haven't played in a long time, I feel like what I remember most about them is the story. If I get really invested in characters, if I get really invested in a story, narrative, a world building, all these things are so important because when I think back, those are the things I remember. I feel like maybe this is just me, but I feel like this is probably true for everyone. I feel like you remember things better through emotion. For example, when I think about Nier Automata, for a more recent case, when I listen to the music for that game, which I think most people agree the soundtrack is incredible, I'm able to feel the emotion of the story when I listen to the music. When I listen to, I'm sorry, I think it's called A Beautiful Song for the Simone boss, the opera boss, I'm able to feel how I felt during that fight. So music is also very underrated in terms of how I feel about things later, and music also has value outside of the game. Like, I'm actually listening to the Nier soundtrack right now, believe it or not. But it's difficult because everything matters, even graphics matter. I would argue art style matters more than graphics. Art style helps things age better. Things that went for hyper-realism in the 2000s probably look like shit today, whereas something like Wind Waker, which was panned at the time by a lot of people for its art style, still looks pretty incredible today. Ultimately, let's be real, I'm the boss man. I like bosses. Bosses are the true market quality. No, they're not. I love bosses in games. I always hope for good bosses, and a good boss for me is unforgettable, but ideally the gameplay and story are like hooking me in. And bosses can't be good without good gameplay, without good narrative value. If I have to pick one thing, I'm gonna go with gameplay in the present, story when you're looking back. Well, I consider uploading streams to my channel again. I loved getting to watch your God of War playthroughs, was bummed when you stopped uploading Spider-Man, and devastated when you missed Kingdom Hearts. Work schedule means you miss streams, so those uploads were a gift. DadMod, please consider uploading them again. As much as I wish fans who couldn't be there live on Twitch got the opportunity to watch my playthroughs and things like that when I am not live, I feel like my YouTube needs to be focused toward my edited content. For a long time, I tried to find a big balance between Twitch and YouTube, doing playthroughs and things like that. And I want, when you look at my YouTube channel and click on my videos tab, I want you to just see a ton of videos that I feel like best represent me. I want them to feel like they're my best content. I don't want to throw shade at playthroughs, but it's just that for me, I don't feel like the effort is there with that content, that I can say, when you look at my top 10 worst bosses of the decade, a video that took me like 2 weeks to produce, and then I have a video where I sat in front of a camera and talked for 2 hours or so, which is what I'm doing now. If you ever want to see my playthroughs, I have a new channel in my Discord, which if you haven't joined my Discord, there's a link in the description. Please join. It lets you know when I'm streaming, and it does YouTube announcements, other cool stuff, and we have a great community of people on there who've been around for years at this point. It's awesome. I have a channel in there that's highlight requests. So if you don't get to catch me on Twitch, you can post in the highlight request that I highlight something, and then it'll be immortalized on Twitch forever, and you can go watch it there. I know the Twitch player isn't the same, but for right now, that's my solution. Maybe I'll consider something different in the future, but for now, that's the best thing to do. Ashley asks, what is my personal favorite content to produce for the channel? Do you enjoy doing top 10s and other scripted videos, more freestyle stuff like speedrun commentary series, or editing together my streams the most? Really good question, and thank you for asking, because I obviously like talking about the content I create. It might be a cop-out answer, but I feel like I'm at my happiest when I'm doing all of the things you just mentioned. I don't like it when I'm only doing one type of thing. If I'm only ranking bosses at a time, it might start to feel repetitive. I might feel like when I'm scripting or ad-libbing that I am getting a little bit repetitive or redundant in what I'm saying. If I'm doing game rankings and I'm putting all my time toward that, I might feel like it's hard to find inspiration to, for example, with the top 100, I have to talk about games that I'm not familiar with and do them justice to people who have played them and want to see them done justice. To be able to write that and make it sound genuine and come across well, right? Because I don't want to make it sound bad or like, okay, yeah, there's this throwaway game called Planescape Torment, which spoiler is coming up. But yeah, like I've heard that it's good and Dungeons and Dragons and like, no, I want to do it justice because there are people out there that really love that game and I want them to be able to see it and say like, this is amazing. Thank you for doing a game that I loved. Great justice. But there are new types of content that I'm considering as well for the new year. I obviously am not going to talk about it because again, we are over delivering, under promising, but the truth is, I'm just happy when I'm making a variety of content, and I'm super stoked that it seems like people are resonating with that. They like top 10s, they like rankings, they like the speedrun commentaries, and I have fun doing all those things. Alex Fight said, will I be uploading more speedrun progression or commentary vids like the Blood-Borne or Nier Automata videos? I'd love to see them for Zelda or maybe new games like Control. Love your content, keep it up. Thank you very much for the kind words, I appreciate it, man. Yeah, I want to do more speedrun commentaries, but to do it, I need to speedrun the game on Twitch. I took a little break from speedrunning because Dark Souls 2 honestly wore me out, but right now I'm doing Blood-Borne Blood Level 4 because I wanted to do some kind of challenge run to get myself warmed up back toward that kind of challenging thing like speedrunning. So I'm going to go back to speedrunning soon. I'm thinking it's probably going to be Hollow Knight. I did a poll on Twitch and it was voted more no than yes. But I'm my own man, and I might just do what I want. We'll see. But I'd like to do more speedrun commentaries because they're a lot of fun. Would you ever do a Sekiro area ranking? I get asked this question every now and again, so it's a good time to address it. The awkward thing with Sekiro is I feel like the areas aren't terribly well defined. I mean, I could go by like the title heads of the different areas to where you can like teleport to the shrines. But also, I kind of didn't get the most excited about talking level design in Dark Souls. So I feel like if I make that video, it's going to be spur of the moment and it's going to be because I really want to do it. A guide to creating the most horrendous Souls character would be amazing. Well, I don't have one for Souls, but I'm pretty sure I released a beautiful tutorial for Halloween, so future DMod, please put that on the screen, and I will put a link in the description to where you can find that video. That way you can watch it. Hey Dad, did you ever get the milk you left to get 30 years ago? I know it's been a long time, but I just wanted to know you're thinking of me, Ma, and Sis. Also, Dad, I have 2 little ones of my own. I named one after you. Now that you've returned to YouTube, do you think you can stop by and visit the family? P.S. I forgot to feed Ma and change her papers, so she's dead in the newspaper-lined crate you left her in. Well, that sounds like your responsibility, and no. No, I shan't. I shan't come back and visit the family because I'm too busy. I'm too busy with YouTube. I'm too busy working. I'm too busy being very responsible. Oh, this is a cool question. What games would you recommend to someone who has almost finished the Soulsborne series? I noticed you have many videos about non-Soulsborne games, so where should I start? So this is actually a quote I'm gonna say in an upcoming video, no spoils, but I feel like, and this might actually be a controversial opinion or an unpopular opinion, either way. I feel like if I look back at the last decade, the game that paid the best tribute to what I feel like the Souls series is about in terms of fair yet challenging and rewarding difficulty, stories that are told very well through the world, incredible music, great bosses, great combat, fascinating world to explore on the whole. Hollow Knight is that game. Hollow Knight is 100% that game. I'm gonna talk about it soon, so you'll see. But I would definitely recommend Hollow Knight. There are very few games that I think capture, and I'll talk about this too, Souls in its essence. I think a lot of games that try to imitate Souls miss that the difficulty design needs to be fair and not just difficult. I feel like Dark Souls 2, even within the own series, missed that a little bit in terms of how it decided to handle difficulty or lack thereof. But there are a few games I can recommend that give a similar feeling to Souls and have good bosses. I definitely recommend Dead Cells. Dead Cells is a good one. I also recommend Hyper Light Drifter. Hyper Light Drifter is a little bit more Zelda-esque, so maybe not quite on the same level. Zelda is also actually a good recommendation. Zelda doesn't necessarily hold the same difficulty, but there's a lot of similarities between Dark Souls and Zelda in terms of its design. I think that's probably too much of a statement to make without adding to it, but yeah, it's trying to think of other games. Nioh is one that people like. I personally think that, God, oh man, you know, this reminded me, the person who earlier, he asked a bunch of questions and he said, are there any videos you've regretted making? Really good question. Yes, the answer is yes. As much as I went back to my Overwatch response video, which was a good video. Like, people were way too critical of that ranking and were really like attached to those characters way too soon and really upset about what I did. But I understood really quickly that it was probably a dumb idea to rank how much I thought different characters were good for me personally in a competitive game where players control the characters. Bad idea all around. But at the end of the day, I still had fun making those videos and I still enjoyed it. So I'm still kind of okay with that one, but I probably would never do anything like it in the future. The true answer though is, if there's one video I could take back and do it in a different way, it would be my Nioh A Review of Expectations video. And the reason I go back to this is because I was going to recommend Nioh, which I'll say Nioh is another game to recommend for the person who asked for games like Souls to an extent. The thing is, Nioh is similar to Souls, but it is not like Souls, right? It has some design philosophies that it shares, but it is not the same game in any way, shape, or form. I personally projected Souls onto Nioh before it ever even came out, and when I played the game, I played it like it was Souls, and I tried to judge its quality based on how much it was like Souls, not how good Nioh was as Nioh. And I made the title A Review of Expectations. It was not a review of Nioh. It was a brief discussion from my impressions of the first third of the game I played and how I felt about the mechanics from that point, which I feel like playing 33% of something is a fair way to get an idea of how much you like its general gameplay loop. But the video was meant to say, like the purpose of the video, the message was, I need to take a step back and be careful about what expectations I put on a game before it ever comes out. When I play a game, I should play it with an open mind, and I should try to understand what they are trying to accomplish in the game, not what I want the game to accomplish for me. And I thought I said it in some super profound way, and I thought I was like, yes, man, like this this is gonna be a banger, and people hated that video. God, people thought I made a review and I was like disparaging Neo, and they're like, Neo is nothing like Souls, stop comparing it to Souls. And I was like, that was the point of the video. It was that I fucked up. It was that I personally made that mistake. I made the mistake of thinking it was like Souls, treated it like that, and I judged it for not being that unfairly. Whether Neo is a good game in its own right as what it wanted to accomplish is a totally separate topic, but I think that was what most people got out of the video, was that I didn't like Neo and I was judging it because like, it's not like Souls. It wasn't that. So question also from Ali, what do I think is the future of my channel? So, boss rankings are my jam, man. I love making boss rankings. I love talking about bosses in games. I think rankings are fun, top 10s are fun. They are admittedly an easy way of structuring a video. I do enjoy that. I do enjoy the structure, but the structure, as much as it can be a crutch and helpful, it could also be very limiting because I'm kind of limited in how I'm able to speak about things. This isn't a promise to make something like this, but I think I would like to make videos in the future that are a little bit more freeform. And moving to the question before, talking about like what type of content I like to make, I like making speedrun commentaries. I like top 10s, I like rankings. I think I'd also like to do a little bit more freeform essay type stuff. Those things take a lot longer to develop, so that might be something I do in the background. We'll see if I do anything like that. I'm not promising it. I'm just saying it's something that I'm interested in thinking about. Obviously, there's tons of other types of content too, so we'll see. Ashton asks if I have a full-time job outside of YouTube or if YouTube is my full-time job. So I'm totally cool talking about this stuff. Like I think sometimes YouTubers, and maybe I'm thinking in the past, are a little like awkward about talking about full-time, not full-time, and like how well they do from it. I am full-time with YouTube, and when I left last year, it was because I was genuinely afraid that I would not be able to do YouTube full-time. And that is not because I don't make enough money to live. It's thinking about enough money to secure my future. If you're an adult or have looked into any of these things as someone who's growing up, you understand that it's more than just making money. It's making sure you have enough money to retire and be safe and be comfortable. There's also things like health insurance, which I have to pay for myself. There's a lot of aspects that go into it where I want to make sure I can be successful long term. I actually had a dream about it the other day, funny enough, and thought about like, I was doing commentary and like when I was like 40 or something like that. And as much as to some extent I feel like there are people who would laugh at that idea, like this guy's in his house playing video games, making content for the internet. For a while, I was a little bit ashamed of what I did in terms of telling it to other people, because I thought people would take me as kind of like a joke. Because I think people act as if YouTube is not a real job. One of the things I'm most grateful to the people in my life and my friends is when I met all the new people I met when I moved to Washington, D.C. 2 years ago, they are all fascinated by what I do for work. They think what I do is so cool. They like that I have the freedom to be able to work for myself, do what I want to some extent. And obviously not everything about my job is, you know, perfect, but they really thought what I did was cool. And I was raised to believe, like, you go to school, you go to grade school, you go to university, you get a degree, you get a career, and you live that way. So making my own way in the world and doing this new untraditional career of being an influencer or content creator or whatever is something so new that I thought people would think that, like, kind of scoff at the idea. And I was honestly a bit ashamed that I was ashamed. Because I'm really proud of what I do personally. Like, I take a lot of personal pride in what I do. I definitely have had times in my life where I needed YouTube and I needed content to get me through tough times as a distraction or just an escape. And I like the idea that I'm able to provide that for people. And then obviously people who just want to be entertained or just want to relax and watch something funny or entertaining. So I just got way out of the context of the question, but yeah, I do YouTube full time. I'm very proud that I do YouTube full time, and I'm lucky to be able to do that. So I can only say thank you to you guys because it's not possible without you guys. So thank you. What is the capital of Romania? Okay, you're about to learn something about me, which is I am horrible at geography. I actually don't know what country Romania, or I don't know what continent is the right word. I don't know what continent Romania is in off the top of my head. I want to say that it's in Europe, but it's possible that it's in Asia. I'm not totally sure. And my gut reaction was, it's gotta be Rome, right? Romania, Rome, boom, done. And that's not true. And you know why I know it's true? Not because I know shit about geography. I know it's true because I've played Assassin's Creed Brotherhood. And I know that Rome is in Italy, so we can't be smart about everything, and I don't know shit about geography. I'm sorry, my friend. If you're greeting me from Romania, thank you, my Romanian fan. I appreciate it, man. What's my favorite Soulsborne Ekiro game? Blood-Borne. I don't think that's a secret. There are a lot of comments asking for different rankings, such as top 10 feet, which I know we've talked about before. Not doing that. Have I ever considered or been asked to do a speedrun at GDQ? I've never been asked, and that's because I'm not good enough at speedrunning to be asked, I would imagine. And my stream, for the size of my YouTube channel, I would say my stream is not commensurate. I typically have anywhere from like 100 to 200 viewers on a given stream, and sometimes even less, depending if it's a like really obscure game or something that my fans don't typically want to watch. So I don't think I'd get a lot of recognition from the Games Done Quicker ESA, but I have thought about doing it. The only thing is, if I were to do it, I need to be really serious about it, because if I want to go perform at a show, then I need to make sure I'm doing the speedrun justice, which means a lot of practice. And I'm not against that idea. I've thought about doing it for sure, and there are other ways to contribute to charity that I've thought about doing as well before, so it's definitely something under consideration for sure. I'm gonna start speedrunning again here in the next couple weeks, so we shall see. Not exactly a complaint, more just a remark. Maybe try to rank some older series, or at least not ones that just came out. Really love to watch anything by you, but haven't watched Death Stranding or Fallen Order, because I don't want to spoil the game. So I totally get where you're coming from. The difficulty is, just like everybody else who's excited about new games, I too am excited about new games, and YouTube is my platform to talk about those things, so I can't really deliver on not doing the new stuff, which isn't what you're asking. You're asking for older stuff. The difficulty is resource of time. So if I'm working on all the new games, it means it's hard to work on the old games. That's why it became harder to work on the Metal Gear stuff, because I got excited by the new games, and then even though I've finished Metal Gear Solid 4, I didn't do the ranking yet because I hadn't gotten around to doing it between all these other different ideas that I got pulled away from. But I always think about doing old stuff. Like, for example, something I've considered is Resident Evil, because Resident Evil Remake 3 is coming out, and I've never played any of those games. But again, I don't want to overpromise. Like, I don't want to say Resident Evil's totally happening and then, get people disappointed, because maybe it won't happen for one reason or another. But I'm always considering doing old stuff. Like, there's a lot of old series I love that I'd like to rank. Like, one that I don't even think would do that well. Like, I don't think it'd be popular, but I would love, like, when Metroid Prime 4 hits, oh my god. Your boy loves him some Metroid. I would love to go back and do Metroid Prime boss rankings. Oh my god. Even like Super Metroid. Faint Orange says, would like to start out by thanking you mainly for introducing me to Nujabes a while back in a previous Q&A. My question is, what videos are you most least proud of, and are there any games that you play in your own time that you aren't interested in streaming? I'm super happy I got you into Nujabes. I am always willing to take the time to shout him out. When I mentioned anime before, Samurai Champloo, he did the soundtrack for Samurai Champloo. He is an incredible artist. If you want a sample of his music, you could listen to the song Feather. Just search Feather Nujabes YouTube and you'll find it. Lady Brown is another one that a lot of people like, but I think if you want like a really good snapshot of his work, I think you should take a look at the Lovesick Hexology. Just search LUVSIC Hexology on YouTube and you'll see it. It's about 30 minutes long, and his music is essentially what inspired, if you've seen Chill Hop or anything like that on YouTube. His music was a large genesis for that entire thing on the platform. So he sadly died in a car accident a long time ago, and a lot of people say rest in beats, and obviously hope that for the man, because he made an incredible impact on the music industry and people who needed this kind of chill, relaxed hip-hop vibes to add like good vibes and feelings to the world. It's hard to describe. It's music. I'm not a music reviewer, but I love that stuff. I think as far as being proud, I'm always proud when I'm able to really dedicate the proper amount of time and deliver the video, a video exactly the way I want to. I always feel bad when I get stuck between different deadlines and I feel like I have to compromise something in a video. I hope that by saying that, that's never come across well on your guys' end. Like, I never want you guys to see it and be like, oh wow, it's really clear that he phoned this one in. Because I've never done that, but there are times where I cut small corners if I have to, which I don't like doing. I'm typically most proud when I know that I'm at my best and making every video or making an attempt at making every video my new best video. That's what I always try to do. And recently, I would say in the last year, I've just been really proud of the content overall. I feel like this past year, as a collective whole, my content has been the best that it ever has. I think my commentary has improved dramatically. I think because of me getting new equipment this year, my voice has literally improved. I've been looking into new editing techniques, all sorts of stuff. So I'm just proud that 4 years into YouTube, I'm still trying my hardest to grow as a creator, and I think that will never change. My channel grew immensely with the boss ranking videos, but those seem like they're all done. What would I cover next? So when I was mentioning before, like me having a dream in my 40s talking about bosses, the reality is, thinking about it, bosses are not a trend that is going away. Bosses are probably always going to exist to some extent in games, and outside of bosses, I can rank anything I want. If I want to be the ranking guy on YouTube, I can rank anything under the sun. Obviously, it's a matter of will that get viewership, but I think I'm getting to the point where there's at least a solid number of people who are interested in what I have to say and don't really care what I'm talking about, which is a cool position to be in. So rankings for bosses aren't going anywhere. I like talking about bosses, so it's not happening anytime soon, if ever. And then, yeah, I like doing the speedrun stuff, all the different videos we've talked about. And like I said, I'd like to do some longer form essay type videos, but those are something that I need to have like a lot of time in the oven to bake and bake right. That doesn't make sense. I'm sorry. What about Souls made you love the series so much that you decided to make at least 500 videos about it? I feel like this is ill-intentioned. Like I can never tell, because like this could just be sarcasm and like well-intentioned, or this could be like, dude, what made you want to milk Souls on YouTube, because we know you're just doing it for that sweet cash. Obviously, yes, I do this for a full-time living, and sometimes I do make videos because I know they're gonna get viewership, but there's two sides to that, right? If a video I post is getting viewership, it's something people want to see, and that makes them happy to see. So there's not really any evil in that. To answer the question, honestly, if we're gonna treat it as like a real question, then I wanted to make a lot of Souls videos just because it was something that resonated with me. When I played Blood-Borne that year and wanted to make a boss ranking about Blood-Borne, and then having played Dark Souls and Demon Souls right beforehand, those as well, there was something about boss design that just interested me. Because FromSoft had so many creative different ideas for it. Particularly the one that really made me want to do it was when I played Demon Souls. While the bosses in Demon Souls aren't the best overall, and sometimes are even bad, it was very clear in Demon Souls that they tried to be creative, and they tried a lot of different things. You have like Old Hero who hears you by sound and things like that. They have the Storm King with the Storm Ruler. It just made me realize like how much bosses were important to me, and I've thought for a while about making a video about like why bosses matter or something like that, and talking about why I think they're so important. So maybe that's something I'll do in the future. Do I consider Blood-Borne to be the greatest game of all time? Of course, there's titles like God of War or The Witcher 3 that would take the spot, but Blood-Borne still offers gameplay the likes of which has never been seen. This is a weird way to phrase a question. You basically asked me if I consider Blood-Borne to be the greatest. There's titles like God of War and The Witcher 3, which it sounds like you're saying are obviously better, which is strange. I mean, maybe to you is how you're phrasing it, but you'll honestly see in the top 30. I don't think it's a spoiler to say Blood-Borne's gonna be in the top 30. And I can at least say that if I don't consider Blood-Borne to be the best game of all time, it's certainly in the discussion. I obviously really love Blood-Borne. It's the only game that really truly made me care about the lore, if we're gonna talk about the story. The bosses are, I've talked about Blood-Borne plenty, I don't need to go there. There are a lot of questions about Dark Souls, which I expected. I feel like I've answered them generally overall. Persona 5, question mark. I love Persona 5. I played it in 2018, and that was another like Berserk where I basically no-lifed the entire game. I think it took me 85 hours to beat, and I beat it in like 2 weeks. So I played it way too much. Boss ranking is possible, like Persona 5 Royal's coming out, but the difficulty is those games are so long. And again, I'm always thinking my resources, time, and like, what's the best compromise between getting videos out that I want to make and won't take too much time so I can put them out on a decent schedule. It's a difficult balance to strike. Regarding Elden Ring, what do you hope to see story-wise? I'm specifically asking how the story's being told. Do you want From to move more towards traditional storytelling, or should they keep it like the Soul series, or maybe something closer to Sekiro? I think Miyazaki does the best job of telling his stories when he does them in the cryptic way that he does, because I think there is some value when you are the chosen undead, because it basically just follows a chosen one trope. there's value in you filling the pieces together of what happened to the world around you without it being spelled out explicitly for you. I think I've said before that I prefer a narrative that is primarily told through cutscenes, character development, things like that. But I think for the Souls series and those type of games, it works better to do the cryptic stuff. But Sekiro, with Sekiro being an actual character, worked well as having its own story. So Elden Ring could go either way. I think the nice thing is to say that I trust FromSoft to make the right decision either way. They haven't let me down yet. So I personally hope that it's whatever they want it to be, which is a cop-out answer, but it's the answer. My old series I've done Hype Train, Sunday Fun Day, which would be the one you'd bring back if you wanted to, or at the very least, which one was my personal favorite to do. If we're talking about Sunday Fun Day, that was a series that existed very shortly in 2016, and that was basically on Sunday, I would just do something like where I did something like this, where I'd hang out and talk. I'd say that I probably would miss that the most just because I'm happy that I get to talk to the fans I have on Twitch. It's always a pleasure because I feel like we have a group of people who've been around for years, and then we have new people joining all the time, which is nice. But I feel like there's a big untapped group of people on YouTube that I don't get to talk to in this way, and I wish I had a chance to do that more. How does it feel to be a walking icon? I appreciate it. One thing that I think has kept me mostly honest, you know, I've obviously made my mistakes here and there, is keep staying humble. I always just say I'm just another regular ass dude who makes videos. I know this is a joke anyway, so I don't know why I answered this. I see a lot about top 10 Souls booties, man. If they're... I like the idea of top 10 Souls booties, but I gotta be in the right meme mood to make that type of video, and I don't know how that does in YouTube's current algorithm, making a video about asses. I don't know, is that okay? I don't know if that's okay. Do I like roller coasters? If anyone knows what this is referencing, it's referencing something I said in my second ever video. I like roller coasters. Thank you to all the people who are saying really nice things. I'm scrolling past a couple people who are just saying thank you, and I really appreciate it, guys. Thank you for the kind words. In the near future, what should we be looking for? Will it be more rankings, a bit of Let's Play, something else entirely? More specifically, what games do you have in the mind for future videos? I see a ton of people asking about the top 100. Like I said, guys, I would love to promise that I'm gonna do it, but the last thing I wanna do is finish the top 30, go to look at the top 100 and then be like, oh, now I'm playing this new game, I want to make a boss ranking on that first. I would love to finish it, guys, I really would, but again, not gonna promise anything. That doesn't mean it won't happen. I'm just not gonna say with definitive nature that I'm going to do it, because if I do that and then I get distracted to do something else, I don't want to make that mistake again. I know it sounds as simple as just like, okay, well, how about you just fucking do it? But that's how I've treated it in the past, and then I don't do it. And then everyone just ends up disappointed and I look like an ass. So I'd rather be an asshole that only says it's not entirely guaranteed than continue guaranteeing it and continue being an asshole multiple times. Just want to say you inspired me to stream and speedrun, introduced me to Dark Souls. That said, how did you get such a beautiful beard and incredible voice? Tell me your secrets. As far as a beard, I think something that people don't do, like you got to use beard oils. You got to like trim it and shave it as it comes out. Like I don't know if this is a serious question. Just look up beard maintenance on YouTube. There are people with better beards than me, but I am pretty happy with my beard. I better make videos about Elden Ring. I mean, I'm obviously gonna make videos about Elden Ring. The only way I would make videos is if it was terrible, and if it ends up being terrible, I'll at least make a video talking about how disappointed I am that it's terrible, but the likelihood of that happening is extremely low, thank God. Honestly, love the videos, just love for them to have better structure when it comes to release schedule. Can't look forward to any videos like I did with the boss rankings, cheers. It's true, it's a fair criticism, which is why I said, like, between doing one-off videos in a series, I like doing series, but other than having like this almost mental conditioning of like, you guys gotta come back, or you guys, like, you should totally come back because I'm doing the series now, like here's this thing, like here's this guarantee of what's coming next. I would rather have my guarantee being I make good videos no matter the subject matter, so come back expecting to see good videos and that just be it. I think that's what I would like it to be. I think that's a little bit of a high hope. Like, not everyone is going to respect and appreciate the content I make in the same way that I would hope they would, so maybe that's idealistic, but it's going to be what I try this year and see how it works. But I do understand the criticism, and I'm definitely taking it into account, so thank you. Truly enjoy your energy and enthusiasm when it comes to making videos, especially the little comments for each choice. Here's my question: how do I stay so energetic and passionate? I don't always stay energetic. That's the truth of the matter. The nice thing about YouTube is that I get to put my best self on YouTube. So when you see me in a video, it's the side of myself that I've chosen to share on a given day. And for me, it's important that the side of myself I share is the most positive side, is the happiest side, is the most energetic and fun-loving side, because those are all things that truly are a part of who I am, and they're a big part of who I am. But like anybody else, I have hard times. Sometimes I'm sad. Sometimes I'm depressed. In winter, sometimes because it gets too dark outside and it's too cold, I get sad, seasonal affective disorder, which I think everybody gets to some extent, like a little just sad in the winter. But there were a lot of times when I was younger where I felt really alone and I felt sad. And you know, I needed something, and I was able to escape into worlds like Dragon Ball Z, where there were heroes fighting cataclysmic like titans every week of power, and somehow managed to overcome them from like the positivity and like heart they had inside. And there's video games where I get to go into a power fantasy of playing as a character who can do things that are indescribable. That's not the right word, like unimaginable. They're so cool, and it lets you escape for a while. In college, YouTube was that for me. When I wasn't necessarily my most social, I was able to feel connected to someone. And I think that's something powerful that creators can be. So it's important to me that I always am genuine, energetic. And that's why it's important to talk about topics I am passionate about, because then it comes across in a passionate way. If I was to force content, you'd know. There's like, if you go back and watch the Dark Souls 2 area ranking video, you might be able to see that I'm forcing it a little bit, because it's rare that I've done it, but I've done it. So yeah, it's just talking about topics that I'm passionate about, which is why at the end of the day, the passions are what I have to follow. But I'm glad that can come across well for you. To expand on one of the questions I answered recently, you can tell how much fun you have when making your videos. Was there ever a time you felt like this wasn't something you loved doing anymore? There's been times here and there where I've been mixed, I would say. I've never lost the passion for why I create videos and like what my aim is. At the end of the day, it's like I said, I want to be able to be someone who can entertain, bring positivity, and just distract or allow people an escape for a while. And that's something that I've always kept at my heart. The content itself is something that I've struggled with, which I think is clear in how many different series I've promised and things like that. Like I always have different ideas and get excited about this or that. Clearly I've struggled with some of those things, and that's why I'm doing this, to reflect and think about like how I can be a better creator in the new year. Because this year, honestly, I think I was the happiest all year that I've ever been while doing YouTube. And though there were times where I worked really rough weeks at times for the sake of meeting deadlines, I love I love doing this. I really do. It's a cool job. If it's gonna be a job, it's a cool job. Is pineapple on pizza a sin? Okay, now we're getting to the real questions. The real sin is that for me, pineapple on pizza is poison, because I have acid reflux disease, and that means I can't eat tomato and I can't eat anything acidic, so I can't eat pineapples either. So if you're trying to poison me, give me a pineapple pizza. But to answer your question, sweet on tomato sauce, which is also sweet, is disgusting to me. I don't understand that. Like the palate does not appreciate sweet. And then cheese, which is like, is cheese savory? How would you it just sounds gross, man. Like I've had it, but it's, ugh. Yeah, there's someone saying like, I'd like to see experimental content, not just boss rankings. I feel like that content might run stale. I understand completely where you're coming from. Again, it's that balance of needing to do content that I know is going to allow me to stay successful, and also exploring new projects. I think that is going to be a big focus for me for 2020, is a good balance of both. And I think, as sad as it is, one of the ways that that's going to happen is moving away from doing like, I'm going to rank the bosses of the blah, blah, blah series. Here's 7 videos that I'm promising. Instead, I'm just going to do rankings one by one, and I'm going to spend the same amount of time on the side slowly working on different projects, and just deliver those as one-off. I think, for example, the top 100, that was a bit of the mistake with making the top 100 and being like, I'm doing this, but also boss breakdown, because now I have this series and I'm also doing this, but I'm still going to do boss rankings. Like, it doesn't take a genius to figure out how that can be difficult to schedule, and yet it's something I have consistently done throughout my YouTube career. So I know I've talked about this a lot, like I may edit some of this out, but just understand that I'm very aware of that flaw and I accept all criticism for it, and I'm apologetic because I feel bad for getting people's hopes up for things that I would do and then didn't end up delivering, which is why I want to go into 2020 with a clean slate and just make everything the best that I can. How many times have I beaten each of the Souls games, speedruns excluded? That's difficult to answer because I've done a lot of runs for footage, I've played a lot of the games myself. I think I've beaten every Souls game at least 4 or 5 times at this point. But speedruns would skew it for sure. Like, I've probably beaten Dark Souls like at least 100 times, or Dark Souls 3 100 times. Definitely beaten Dark Souls at least 50 times. Blood-Borne I've probably beaten like 200 times. It's pretty wild. Have you considered speedrunning more meme-oriented games such as Wii Sports? I definitely have. There's a constant running joke on my Twitch channel, which is speedrun Shaq Fu, which I tell my viewers on Twitch that they don't know what they're asking for, because it's funny to do for a bit, and making a video on it would be very funny, but it's funny for a short amount of time. Shaq Fu speedrun boils down to doing the same attack over and over again to manipulate AI, and while that's entertaining for a bit, it's not entertaining for the long term, so it's hard to do that on Twitch. But yeah, I've definitely considered doing that, and I think I'd like to get back to speedrunning and trying to do a lot of different types of speedruns instead of just trying to get really good at one. Because I think that's the fun of it, is trying different things. Like, I don't really care about a world record, I just care about being competitive to myself. I think the problem was when I did Sekiro and Dark Souls 2, for example, I was really adamant that I wanted to get the time I wanted, and I speedran them for probably longer than I should have, which kind of burnt me out on speedrunning for a bit. Again, I appreciate everyone who's saying that they love the content. Also asked what's a piece of advice for a content creator, speedrun, or anything. Speedrunning is persistence, because speedrunning is very monotonous. It is almost silly to do. There's so much repetition that gives you the ability to make those runs work. It can be very frustrating, so definitely keep your cool, take a step away when you need to, and only do it if you're having fun with it. Don't do it for any other reason than that. And the same thing goes for creating content. At least myself as a creator, I think being genuine, passionate, loving what I do, and having a good reason for doing it is what's allowed me to be as successful as I have been able to be. As far as actual advice, I've always said there's 2 things that are important when it comes to YouTube: making good content and finding ways for people to find it organically, which the first thing is easier. Having people find it goes into creating something that is at least unique, or is a unique twist, or you have to be able to garner viewership for something and then get to a point where people care about what you have to say, essentially, which is tough. I recommend just starting by talking about what you're passionate about, because that's going to come across well. That's my main advice. Ooh, someone said they are going to try the Dark Souls series after not having tried it for a while, and they appreciate the content. I appreciate that, man. One of the best compliments I always get is hearing that I got people into Dark Souls or any other game that I've featured that they never considered trying before, and they gave it a shot and they loved it. If I can introduce someone to a new world of gaming, then that's awesome. How was my day? My day was very good. I finished Dragon Ball Z Kakarot today. I've been working on it toward a boss ranking. And I was also really excited to look at these comments, because typically for this type of thing, I would look at it and script it to some degree first. Like, typically I do an outline, then I script, then I do maybe like 80% scripted, like 20% ad lib as I commentate the video. But I wanted to answer these fresh. I just wanted to not like have anything thought of in my head first, and like, I want to make sure each word like counts and everything like that. I don't know. I kind of just wanted this to be like super conversational, even though I feel like all my videos are conversational to some degree. Yeah, so this person is asking, or not necessarily asking, saying like, love boss rankings, but like the depth you went in with boss breakdown and like the long form essay type stuff. I do feel like that is a natural progression of the way I talk about things, like with an opinion, and I think those are some of my favorite videos from other YouTubers. Like an example would be, I've been, obviously I played Dragon Ball Z Kakarot. I've been watching Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Super for the first time recently, and I watched a video from Super Eye Patch Wolf on why he loved Dragon Ball Z, and that video really connected with me, even though the video wasn't an objective review of Dragon Ball Z. It was a creator who is passionate about something talking about why they love something, and that really, I could feel that in how I felt about Dragon Ball Z as a kid, and that was something that was amazing. I definitely like those breakdown videos. The concern has always been, to some degree, even though I'm confident, am I good enough to do that style of video? Like, do I have the level of intelligence? Do I have the analytical ability to be able to look at something and break it down in a way that not only is consumable for an audience, but also that I feel like is correct, adding value, saying the right things? There's a lot that goes into it, but it's definitely something that I want to explore. Do what you want to be. We're here for you, not the soul shit. I appreciate that. I feel like I've gotten to move away from Souls a little bit more in the last year. I know that I still did like top 10s here and there, but I kind of saw this year after Sekiro as like, what are the last Souls videos that I would want to make, and then kind of like move on until Elden Ring comes. And then really the only thing I'm considering for Elden Ring is maybe redoing the quality ranking, because it's so old, and my opinions have definitely changed since then. Definitely this year doing what I want to do. 100%. I know I've said that there needs to be a balance struck between what I want and what my audience wants to see, but I think I've reached a point where I feel really confident that what I want to make is going to be what my audience wants to see, and it's encouraging to hear that, so thank you. What's my writing process like? Do I have a template I follow each time that facilitates success, bullet points, scripts? So all my videos are scripted to start, but I can take you through the process quickly of how I generally do a video. So I have a giant running Google Doc that keeps track of all game releases that are coming out. I have a bunch of different game series listed that I would potentially want to cover at some point or talk about at some point. I have single one-off video ideas that are listed, and basically anytime I'm making a new video, I go there, pull one of those ideas and plug it in. I used to plan things out months in advance, which is why I have a lot of a tendency to promise like what's coming, because I think that's what I'm gonna do. The thing is, I've learned that things change quickly in terms of what I'm interested in making, so I'm moving a little bit away from that. But yeah, I have a master list of videos. I'll pull an idea from there, plug it. I'll draw an outline of like what I'd like to talk about. If it's boss rankings at this point, it's pretty much play the game, take notes on each boss. Like for example, Dragon Ball Z Kakarot, I have 25 pages of notes that I just finished from that game. I take those notes, I kind of form them into, okay, that was my opinion when I first played it. What is my impression now that I've had time to simmer and like marinate it a little bit? I write my first script from that, and then that's like a rough draft. I rewrite it. Then as I commentate the script, I tend to ad-lib things here and there. Like I'll see something that maybe I didn't write as well, or I'll think of something that might be funny, or I'll think of something that I think is insightful, and I'll add it myself as I'm dictating the video. And I would say my videos are probably about 80% scripted, maybe 20% ad-lib, maybe more like 15%. I do ad-lib a decent amount, but I try to keep them scripted because I have a really bad tendency to ramble, which I'm sure will come across in this video. So I try not to ramble in my videos too much. I want to make sure everything I'm saying is pointed and each word has purpose. Each word has a reason to be there. And that's definitely what I try to get done in the videos. All right, I'm gonna answer 3 more questions. I've been scrolling through here for a while, and I think I've gotten through more than half. I'm sorry that I can't get to more of them, but I am seeing some questions start to repeat, so I feel like I've answered a good amount of what people wanted to see. So this person is saying, don't know if I tossed it around, but they like the idea of in-depth game reviews, visuals, sound, music, gameplay, boss mechanics. Keep it on brand with boss-centric games, but thinking like Fanato-esque for games. A lot of people do it, but you have the following and engagement of your fans and a few distinguishable personalities like you do it too. Saying I have good presence on the mic and a stoic presence on camera generally, so front-facing reviews could be awesome. I've always been a little bit iffy about putting my face on YouTube, and it's not like a shyness thing. I don't really mind being in front of the camera. I do think that I don't control my facial expression all of the time. Because I don't think about it. Like, I do think about how I sound. I try to make sure I sound like energetic. I don't want to sound monotonous, like I'm really excited when I say number 10 is like, I don't want to sound bored, you know, because I'm not. I'm enjoying what I'm doing. I think I asked the question, like, does my face add value to this? I feel like the only way adding my face to the video adds anything is if I'm doing something I could not do without my face being in the video, which I don't think there's too much. There's just like reactions, I guess. I feel like I have a good way of commentating that, or controlling my voice that indicates the emotion I'm trying to get across. Maybe I'm not right about that. I don't know. But yeah, thank you so much for all the kind words about how I appear on camera, how I speak. And I do think I have the potential to do more in-depth videos about game reviews or things related to gaming that are just more than just boss rankings. And again, I think that is going to be a focus for the channel in the coming year. Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of people talk about being experimental with content, so I'm glad to see that that is something that my fans have an interest in, because it's something that I definitely have an interest in as well. I know the boss rankings work, they obviously work, but it would be nice to do other things too, for sure. One of the biggest things to think about is organization when it comes to playlists and videos. Nothing disappoints me more than finding a YouTuber you like that does several things and not having organized playlists. Enjoy your content, but to be honest, from a viewer's perspective, I don't know immediately what's going on from the title. Make several videos about a certain game or series, only slight variations in the wording of the titles, and while some of your older videos have a decent timeline to follow, recently it's been hard to tell what's going on unless you've been keeping up the whole way. I can definitely see what you're talking about when it comes to Souls videos, but this is one I'm gonna have to think about a little bit. Maybe when I mention it in the video, you can elaborate a little bit more in the comments, just because I want to make sure I'm understanding exactly what you're saying correctly, because I'm trying to think in terms of like, a lot of the content I made over the last year was for new releases and boss rankings for them, so it's difficult to understand where that would be confusing. With the Souls stuff, I can 100% understand where it would get confusing, because I have like this community voted top 10, my own top 10, my top 10 remastered, top 10 from 4 years ago. Like I totally get. I don't know if there's a natural way to fix that, but I definitely can keep this in mind for the future. So seriously, thank you for the feedback. I honestly feel like, to close it out, I know this is repetition. Maybe I will edit a lot of it out, because I've been talking now for almost 3 hours. I feel like generally everyone says I have a very good way of speaking. They like the content. They like the way my voice comes across. They like my commentary. They like the structure of my videos, everything like that. It sounds like, as far as improvement, people would really like to see me be more experimental with my content while keeping up the same things that I do well already, which is exactly where my head is at, so I'm glad we're on the same page there. Obviously, I think my biggest flaw as a YouTuber is my inability to deliver on things that I promise, and in that lies the mistake of promising what I can't deliver, or what I fail to deliver. Joked about it and said it improperly a lot throughout the video, but I really want to be able to over-deliver and under-promise this year, and I wanted to upload 100 videos this year. I said that in my Democracy is Back video. I only made it to 60, but I was still happy with that because it was at least one video a week. And I think that's generally like the bare minimum I'd like to do this year. At the end of the day, quality is the most important though. I will definitely make a point to only talk about anything I fully intend to deliver on. And I encourage you guys to keep me honest about that. I mean, it's my responsibility, so that's not to say I need you guys to keep me honest. I want you to keep me honest, but I know a lot of people are just gonna leave if they're like, dude, this guy just can't keep his shit straight. Like, he makes good content, but he can't, you know, manage to deliver these videos that he keeps saying he's gonna make. And I can imagine how frustrating that's been over the years. So I do apologize for how disorganized I am. It is definitely a flaw that exists outside of YouTube. I've never been very organized, so I'm gonna do my best to deliver the absolute best content I can this year. I always strive to make every new video, my best new video, so it may sound cheesy or stupid, but it's true. And I guess if I'm gonna leave you guys with anything, maybe it can be an explanation of something I don't think anyone has ever asked, which is why I end my videos the way I do. Every time I end a video, maybe with a couple exceptions, I would say, I wanna thank you for watching today, much love to you, and I'll see you in the next video. And the reason I say that is, obviously, I'm always genuinely grateful to anyone who not only watches, but makes it to the end of the video. I say much love to you because, again, it's gonna sound cheesy as shit, but I just think reminding people that they're loved and appreciated is never a bad thing. I think if they can ride a video off feeling like their presence was appreciated, it kind of drives it home. I don't know. It's just the way I feel. I feel love and appreciation for someone that took the time to listen to what I had to say. And I say I'll see you in the next video, not as necessarily a manipulative way of being like, I will see you, wink wink, in the next video for sure. It's more to say, I welcome you back. Like, I would like to see you here again. And if you come back, you're gonna be welcome. I guess in these update videos, there has to be some cheese. So there it is. Cheers to you guys. Thank you very much for all your support over the course of the year. Thank you for putting up with me during my mistakes, and thank you for putting up with what faults I do have. I'm gonna continue to make mistakes to some degree. I'm only human, but I can do my best to at least learn from the mistakes I have made and try to do better. And I promise you guys that I will at least do that. And that is the one promise I will make for the new year. Anyway, take care, guys. Thank you very much for watching today. I really do appreciate it. Much love to you, and I'll see you in the next video.